Hello, hello. Welcome to the intuitive card reading for the week of December 1st through December 7th, which makes this the first full week of December. If you guys haven't already checked it out, please check out the December monthly reading that's up on my channel. It came out yesterday, so definitely check that out. Let's see if we see the same themes. You guys know what to do. Please like this video. Please share this video with anybody that needs to hear the energies and the influences of the week. Comments down below would be wonderful. Just be kind. That's all I ask. Subscribe to this channel. I think that's it. Same 3 decks as I've been using. They're all shuffled and ready to go. And that's it. All right, let's begin. What do we need for this first full week of December? Father Sky, trust in the unknown. Okay, so we need to trust more. So funny, I actually pull my own cards every morning, and I got the trust card this morning actually. So this might mean that maybe something is happening in your life where there's some significant changes. I know we actually just had Saturn go direct astrology wise. I think it was on Thanksgiving actually last week. And then we have Mercury retrograde ending over the weekend as well. So I could feel it a little bit because of the things in my chart. I'm wondering if you guys are feeling it too, but I kind of just feel like things are up in the air, where I can kind of like start looking forward in life, which is amazing. And things do seem a little bit unknown. So yeah, so this could apply to like maybe something has significantly changed where you're just not sure. So this could mean that you've gone like something has happened that has just really changed the trajectory or the plan that you had, and now kind of things are unknown in a way. It's not I don't look at it as like a negative or a positive thing. It's a neutral thing, and it's kind of like it is what it is kind of situation. But yeah, this is basically saying like you need to kind of trust that everything is happening the way it is supposed to be happening. Because of this energy and because of this card, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a Fates card come through or an alignment card coming through, or even more cards that really connect more to trust and connecting more to our intuition and that kind of thing and our spiritual practices. So we'll see. But yeah, that's a good message to kind of get right off the bat. And yeah, let's keep going. Let's see what else we got. Action needed, observer. This one has been coming out a lot. I think in the last few readings I've done, we've gotten the observer card, which really is interesting because it's almost conflicting energy to the action needed because it's basically inaction, right? It's kind of saying like, I'm the outside of observer and I'm kind of just watching things for now and not actually taking action. But let's see if this makes sense if I say it this way. It's basically saying take action on the observing. So it's basically saying like, pay attention. Okay, pay attention to what's going on around you. Pay attention to how you feel. Pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to what you like and what you don't like. It's kind of like you're in a research phase. That's what it kind of means, right? It's kind of saying like you don't have to do anything quite yet. You just have to kind of take in the knowledge and take in the information. You don't have to actually take action particularly on that. You're still in the research phase. And that's what it's basically saying. So don't make any, I would say like any quick decisions or it's basically saying like collecting data. So don't make the decisions until you get the data, right? That's basically what it's saying here. So yeah, definitely start being more aware of like what's going on and observing things more clearly. A good example for this is like maybe you're getting this feeling that and this could kind of tie into Father Sky. Maybe you got rejected from a program, like a school program, like a degree that you wanted to kind of go for, and you kind of got rejected. And now you're like, okay, now my future is unknown because I thought I was going to go to this school, and study this major and study in this program, but now I've been not accepted, or I don't have the money for it, or I'm moving and I can't go there, or whatever. And now this is basically saying like, before jumping into like a new school and a new major and a new role, just do the data collection right now. Start researching things. Think about like how this might be the right decision for you, even though it doesn't feel like it. How maybe rejection is God's protection and things like that. So this is basically saying like, don't necessarily, when I did the monthly, and sorry for anybody that hasn't seen it yet, I definitely got this, I said I think at the end of the reading, like, I'm kind of like disappointed that we didn't get like a lot of like new beginnings or like ending type vibes, going into like a new calendar year of a new numerology year of 1, which is the new beginnings. And which is the universal number for the year for everybody, for the collective. But this makes sense because it's also reiterating that it's like saying like it's not quite time to start anything new or start anything to move directions. Like it's not necessarily that time right now. So definitely you're still in the data collection phase, and that's okay, and the observing phase, and that's okay. Okay, so the universe is like being very clear about that. All right. Excuse me, guys. Issue, we have vampire in the shadow, depleting others for your psychic survival. Okay, so this, anytime we get the vampire, it's always about like an energy suck, basically, like an energy depletion kind of situation. And it's under issue, so we're having issues with that, unfortunately. So things that drain our energy, people that drain our energy. The example on the card is like people that are, that maybe are chronic complainers or, always venting, or chronic codependency or something along those lines. So you might have issues with someone like that, or something, something that's draining your energy in general. There's not too much more I can say on this. We'll obviously see if there's anything that could be like kind of connect to the card as we go through the rest of the reading. But all I can say is like protect your energy as much as you possibly can. Say no when you can. If you have to spend time away from those people and choose not to be in their presence, that's okay. Like that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's okay to say no, and I feel like somebody needs to hear that out there. But yeah, definitely do feel like something, it could even just be something as, like your job is just draining you this week. So do the best you can, do your self-care, basically it says it's under issue. So it's like you can't necessarily avoid it, but just like do the best you can with it. All right, we have challenge, drum, dream, and journey. Okay, so this is really about looking forward. I always get like, forward type energy with this card, thinking about what you actually desire and what you actually want. And so it's under challenge. I don't love that, but it definitely corroborates with what I was just saying, with that need card up there, with the Father Sky, about the unknown. So this is basically saying like we're unable to kind of plan our future right now, possibly because things are unknown. Maybe something has happened, recently that has really kind of put a lot of, things up in the air for us. So this is basically saying that we're having trouble planning ahead, and that's okay, right? That's okay, and it's just going to be challenging this week for whatever reason. Maybe it's just challenging because our energy is depleted and we just don't have the resources to do so, to actually plan something, because we're just too tired and exhausted and overstimulated, and that's okay. Again, these issues and challenge cards are really just, not to be looking at things negatively, but it's kind of saying like, these are the issues, these are the challenges, this, deal with it as best as you can. And I know you guys can, because you've been through worse, trust me. So you guys can do this. And just for whatever reason, you can't necessarily plan something ahead. So don't plan anything ahead, even if your birthday's like in January or something, or coming up, maybe it's just not the week to plan it. Okay. So, because maybe something's up in the air. It's okay. I think it'll pass. I feel confident it will pass. Again, this is just a weekly reading. It's not necessarily, a lot of these can mesh into each other, maybe you can carry into next week, but I'm going to stay confident here, and I'm going to stay optimistic, and I'm going to say, just get through the week, and you don't beat yourself up or be upset. Obviously feel whatever you want to feel, but, if you have obstacles in your way of planning things ahead of time, you're right in line with the rest of the collective having the same issue. All right, what do we need to change? Imagine. Okay, so this is basically, guys, between the Father Sky, between the drum, between the imagine, this is imagine is about visualization. Imagine is about, seeing things differently, seeing your future. This is also a future-oriented card. So between these three cards, it definitely is telling me that your future has become unknown within the last couple of weeks. Something has happened. 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 Something has happen Okay, it feels like something has happened to some of you guys out there where really things are unknown, and you have to think of a different future. Okay, and so that's what it's under the change card. It's basically saying like you have to imagine a different life. You know, you have to imagine. You have to pivot a little bit, right? I would not be surprised if we actually got a pivot type card. There's a few cards in the deck that could represent that and give off that energy. Very curious to see if that happens. But I mean, this is kind of already giving that energy in a way, because it's basically saying like you have to imagine your future being different, because it is going to be different. So you don't have to, again, get clear because things are up in the air, but you have to kind of almost shift the idea that things are going to be different. So for example, if you broke up with somebody who you imagined a future with, it's basically saying like you don't have to imagine what your future is going to be without this person, but you have to accept and picture any other future that doesn't involve this particular person and all the things that you kind of attach to. Okay, so it's basically saying like we have to see that things can be different, and things that are going to be different. And it's honestly, it's like more of a like acceptance type energy coming through here, where it's saying like, you know, you kind of just have to accept that it's not going to be like your goals are, like it almost feels like your goals are changing, like your goals are going to be changing. And it I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it feels like it almost came out of like left field. Like it's, and I feel like I need to say this too, it's okay if you don't want the things that you used to want, right? The things that you desire, like maybe from years ago or even weeks ago or months ago, or like whatever it actually is. Or if something has happened, you know, if something was the catalyst to you getting here, something has happened to you and has completely changed you and you want something different, and that's okay. And it's also okay that you don't know what that thing is. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty strong energy coming through, but definitely does feel like, you know, the future is unwritten and it's unknown, and it's making us a little bit uncomfortable. So we really have to deal with that this week for sure. So yeah, definitely I'm getting like a feeling of like goals have changed, probably because you have changed. And I can actually I can apply this to my own life. I don't know if you guys like when I do that. If I know sometimes it could be like annoying, but it's easier to me to kind of like, you know, when I give metaphors and stories about my own life to kind of like interpret the energy. Sometimes it makes more sense, or it gets clearer. And I hope it explains it a little bit better. But for me, like, I'm starting to get better. I know I always say that, but I really am every week starting to get better. I'm moving into the period, and I can feel it, where I could start thinking about my future again. But it's not going to be the way that it was years ago, because I have changed. So many things in my life have changed. I have matured. I have completely integrated, you know, my old self into my new self, or at least I'm still going through the process now, but I'm coming to the end, you know? So like the future is going to look different. The goals that I had 5 years ago are completely different, and the way I want to go about them are completely different. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But you know, my situation is from years. This could be just from weeks. Okay, like an idea that you had maybe 6 weeks ago is definitely changing now. Could definitely be changing now. It doesn't have to be years, but mine happens to be years. So okay, focus. We have gossip, thrives on the power of passing on private or secret information, betraying confidences. Okay, so it's in the shadow on this one. So it's basically saying, so this is, all right, this is interesting energy, so bear with me here. This is basically saying, so it's under focus, so it's saying what's the priority? And it's saying the priority is the, you know, the negative things that people are saying, people gossiping behind your back, people betraying you. So this energy is giving off, again, bear with me here, and you guys are responsible for your own lives, just throwing that out there, but it's almost a good week to confront somebody on their betrayal, confront somebody on their secrecy, you know, about you, spreading rumors, spreading lies about you, you know, sharing, you know, giving away your secrets, something along those lines. Like, I definitely feel a confrontation, which is interesting because we're coming off the previous week. If you guys remember, that was a pretty difficult reading, I'm not gonna lie. I remember, and I put it, because I put it in the title, I'm like, this is so weird that I'm getting this energy about verbal arguments, right? Not agreements, arguments. Like, makes kind of sense with, you know, with the holiday going on in America, you know, being around family and that kind of thing. but I definitely felt like a combative type energy, and it almost feels the same here with this. So this can be continuing on from what happened last week, or this could be like something completely different where you're finally confronting somebody that has given you hell, that has told your secrets, who has betrayed your confidences in some way, shape, or form, or gossiped about you, or said something that was untrue, or something like that. So you're definitely confronting. It would be a good, you don't have to, but definitely the energy supports confronting somebody around these things and making it not only that, but like making it a priority. So that's very interesting to get there. So take that with what you will. And if anybody's brave enough to put in the comments what that means to them, if they're confronting anybody this week or they've been feeling it coming on, definitely let me know. And I will definitely support you, because it definitely feels like an energy of like it's been going on for a while, or it's very unjust, or it's like it's a justified kind of thing. Okay, reflect. We have Mirror Guardian, take time to reflect. Okay, so we have the reflect card under the reflect. So basically it's just saying like in general reflect. I mean, the observer kind of gives off that energy as well. Like we already know, like we're kind of being more introspective or reflective. And we're taking time to process things. And so basically that's what it's saying. It's saying like take the time to kind of process things and reflect on whatever whatever's top of mind, whatever, I mean, I would suggest the big thing that's kind of happening that all these cards are kind of pointing to, saying like, something has happened where it has changed your future and has changed your goals in some way. So reflect on that. That would be time well spent. So yeah, but really anything kind of applies here, but it is asking you to reflect. Okay, responsibilities. Okay, between worlds. All right, so it's not a ending or a beginning, but it's something in between. It's limbo, right? So it says responsibilities are to, be okay with the limbo. And limbo means I have one foot in, the old life and then one foot in the new life. So if there's something that you're oscillating between, it's basically just saying like, make sure you, how do I say this? Make sure you don't forget anything, maybe is the best way you can kind of, say it, or do your best juggling it, maybe is the best way to say it. Yeah, I would say, make sure you were kind of doing, you're juggling both, or you're doing things evenly. Something that might come to mind here is like maybe maybe you have like you're transitioning to like a new role, and you still have to do some of your old responsibilities, right? We're under responsibilities for your old job, for your old role, because they're in the middle of like hiring and training for somebody, for somebody to take over for your role, and then you're the one that's also training for the new role. So you're kind of like in between. So it could be overwhelming, which makes sense. That would make sense a lot for the vampire, because there's definitely, like I said, energy depletion, overstimulation, feeling overwhelmed, that kind of thing, energy coming here. So that could make sense for that. So definitely just feel like you might be like taking on too much, or you have too much to juggle. So I definitely do feel like it's like you're in between these two things. And it's basically saying like, do your best and be as responsible as possible. And again, that could be what this vampire in the shadow card is talking about. It's basically saying like, do your best. It's probably going to drain you, but it's not permanent. Limbo is never permanent. That's what we all need to know and understand. And that you'll be fully in the new role. Maybe in 2 weeks, maybe in a month, like whatever. But it's not permanent. So that's what we have to remember there. Okay, money, finances, and career. We have magical child. Seeing the potential for sacred beauty in all things, the belief that everything is possible. Wonderful. So basically it's just asking for a more optimistic and more positive outlook on work, money, and finances. And anything is possible. We've gotten a lot of cards in the past, like maybe the last 2 readings, about potential. Okay, so it's asking you to really kind of hold on to that energy, and realize that anything is possible, if you believe in yourself, like all of that stuff. So it's really just asking for like a better attitude and more, mental fortitude about your outlook on your work, money, and finances. So if things are looking grim or things aren't looking great this week, or you've had it or whatever, just remember that anything and everything is possible. And where you are right now is, coming off of this energy, it's not permanent, so it is possible to have a new job. It is possible to have more money. It is possible to have more finances. And it's just more of like a mindset shift type of card, basically, is what this is saying. All right, what are we surprised about? Let's see. Enjoy growth and reap rewards. Okay, so this is good. I like this. So this is basically saying you'll be a surprise reward for your growth. Okay, this could be monetary. This could be like a physical object, like somebody is actually rewarding you for, how much you've grown. I don't know what a good example for this is. Maybe the word grown is not necessarily applicable here, but how far you've come, just like in general, and so this could be, attached to this, it's right next to money, finances, and career. It could be a bonus. It could be a, reward for how far you've come in work, on a personal level, this could be, you've done a lot of work on your personal life and your personal development and your attachment style and your childhood trauma and all that stuff. And now you might be, maybe you just met somebody that is really aligned with you. And now you're actually, you're getting that, the universe is kind of giving you that reward of like a partner, at least potential partner, after you've kind of like done all that work and you've grown and you've matured. So you're finding somebody that's more on your level. So that could be it too. That's like on the bigger side of things, on the more major side of things. But it definitely does feel like we're getting some kind of rewards for how far we've come and how much we've grown as people, either professionally or personally. So yeah, I love that. Again, could be like a, an opportunity, could be, a monetary thing, like a material thing, or it could just be, like I said, like an opportunity, like a person coming into your life or something like that. So I love that. So you're getting rewarded for all of like whatever you've been working hard on, I would say. Definitely feels like there's a reward here for you, like a light at the end of the tunnel kind of situation. Well, maybe not a light at the end, more like a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is a better way to say that. All right, we have the community card in Friends, which we like. Okay, so it's basically saying like do that community thing, be social when you can, help out your community in any way you can. I know we're getting close to the big holiday. We just had Thanksgiving here in the States. Now we're gonna have Hanukkah and all the winter holidays, Christmas, all that good stuff. So it's basically saying like help out your community, be there, hang out with people, be social, be festive, maybe is a better way to kind of say that as well. A lot of community support, a lot of, you would benefit by hanging out with, especially those in close proximity, especially in situations that make it feel like a more community feel. All right, romantic connection, we have Damsel. Understanding the nature of healthy romance inspires you to rely on yourself. Yes, we love this. Okay, so healthy romance, that's a good thing. I just mentioned, I gave the scenario here and about, meeting somebody after, healing our relationship stuff, or, being, healing ourselves from our childhood, which, manifests into relationship issues, as we all know. But yeah, so this is basically saying, understanding the nature of healthy romance inspires you. Yeah, so this is basically saying like healthy relationships. I mean, I don't know what else to say about this. This is basically like we're seeing the fruits of our labor, which is, there's an actual woman here with an apple in her hand. So it's the symbolism there, the fruits of our labor. Kind of the same thing here. It's saying like you will notice that you are communicating in a healthy way, that you are relating to somebody in a healthy way, that you're you know, you can, like, you're going to be able to notice the healthy things within your relationship dynamic, right? Maybe you and your partner have been doing a lot of therapy, and you're really starting to see through this week, like, the changes in both of you. So I love that. And by the way, for our single people, this is a really good indication of, like, it's a good week to date. I know it's kind of like a weird, it's getting, at least in the places that have seasons, it's getting cold. A lot of people don't want to leave the house, but this is some validation to be like, go on that Tinder date, go on that Bumble date, go out and meet that person that your friend wants to set you up with. Go out into the community. It's really good time to meet somebody that you can connect with in a healthy way. So I love that. What's important? So many things are important, right? Magic Guardian, unlock the magic within. Yes, more of a power card. I think we got this in the monthly, so it makes sense why it came up here. So it's basically saying, know your personal power, connect with your personal power. You can do it. You're the creator of your own reality. You have the magic within you. It's under importance. So yeah, remember that. This is about self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence, all those selves, right? Self-empowerment, all that good stuff. So I love an empower card coming up here. It's saying it's important to remember that. Remember your power. Health and wellness, we have time to go. Okay, so finally we have a card that really kind of indicates an ending, which, guys, I like this for me. I like this for me, for my situation, because something feels like it's ready to go. It's getting ready to go. Could be a health issue. It's under health and wellness. Could be, just the ending of something. Maybe you're actually ending your your very strict diet that you were on. Maybe you're ending your SSRI. Maybe you're, there's something where you're coming to a close of. For me too, in a smaller scale, I'm actually closing up supplements. Like, I was on a lot of different supplements for different things. I'm now down to like one or two, like, supplements. I used to spend so much money, per month, like just buying the supplements that I need. I have finally finished one, a few actually, and I've been kind of closing it out as the week goes, and I'm really down to a probiotic and vitamin D, I think. So I'm really, I used to take like 20 or whatever. So we're dwindling down because I'm getting better, obviously. So things are fading out. Like, it definitely feels like, and what's jumping out to me and why I'm saying fading out is because it's kind of like, it's, if you can't really see if my finger's over it, but on the card it just feels like the background is like fading, right? And it's kind of saying like it's starting to phase out, maybe is a better way to say it. So it's starting to phase itself out, which I like. Okay, so that's awesome. I love it. So something is coming to an end, and it feels like a positive end. Okay, it doesn't mean like a negative end. Like I said, maybe you're on some kind of medication that you've only needed temporarily, and now it's coming to an end when you don't need it anymore. That kind of thing. So I like that. Okay, and overall outcome, we have rebel, challenges authority to affect social change, rejects spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. Okay, so this is about rebellious energy, sticking up for yourself. So I'm just going to talk out loud for now, of what the energy is like kind of thrown at me. So it's about sticking up for yourself. It's about going against the norms. It's about saying like, this doesn't work for me anymore. I don't want to do this. I don't want to just do what society tells me to do. So I'm definitely getting that energy, and I find it like a positive way. In a positive way, it's not coming through. The shadow could also be positive, but it's not coming through that way. It's coming through. It is coming through. I'm confusing myself, or I'm confusing you guys. It's coming through in the light, okay, and it's not coming in the shadow. And the way of the shadow is basically saying like it affects your life in a negative way, where you just rebel to rebel, just because you don't like, just like more of like a spiteful type energy is like a good way to put it. This is not what this is saying. This is saying that you're rebelling for a positive reason. Like you're rebelling because it doesn't work with you anymore. It doesn't feel good for you anymore. It doesn't align with you anymore. Okay, so you might be acting out in some way, shape, or form this week. You might be just like protesting something. Okay, the rebel is also like the energy of protesting. I've personally been economically protesting. I don't know how you guys feel. We are coming off of like, I know that was like last week with Black Friday and that kind of thing, but maybe it sticks, or maybe you feel that energy, right? Like I said, like it's not exact. It could be meshing into this week for sure, and that's what we could be feeling. But it, that could apply, and I think that's how it resonates with me, at least for now. We'll see if this rebel energy, comes through in any other way this week. But this is basically saying like you're just standing up for something, and you're just like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just not going to do it anymore. It's almost like it has this feeling of authenticity attached to it. Like we're just not going to do the things that don't make sense for us anymore. And it's the start of that, I feel like. It feels like it's coming. Maybe you don't necessarily apply it this week, but the feelings are there. The energy is there, because this is about energy, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be that you do it this week. Like maybe you're thinking about economically protesting or something, or just not buying from certain companies, or you're just over it, and you're figuring out a plan right now of like how to make that happen, how to get your, where to buy your shampoo that's like a local business or like whatever, and so it definitely does feel like we're just feeling like we want to rebel against the system, against something, it doesn't, in some way, shape, or form. So that is like to me, it feels like that's maybe towards the end of the week a little bit, but again, some of us can be feeling it if, we're coming off of Black Friday, and that's what, if that applies to you in that way. I know it does for me, but it could be something completely different. Maybe there's like a dress code at work where you're just over it, and like this week you just are like, I can't wear these crazy suits to work anymore. I just, and then maybe, you're thinking about going to work one day, maybe you work at like a law firm or something, and you're not going to wear a tie or something like that, like it's like, it doesn't have to be major. It could be minor, where something like that, where you're just like, I'm not going to do this anymore. There's no reason for me to dress up every day when we don't have clients in the office, and, I can't do this anymore, or something like that, or working from home. Like if you can do your job completely from home and they're making you come in 5 days a week, you might start protesting that in a way of like, saying like, I'm not going to come in, maybe not exactly like this because you might get fired, but finding a way to not come in the office, like putting your foot down about something. So, I think it really is more connected to the Magic Guardian card, where it's like we're feeling a little bit more emboldened, we're feeling a little bit more empowered to kind of stand up for ourselves and say like, this isn't working for me anymore, like that kind of energy. So I like that for the end of the week, and you guys maybe are not going to be feeling that maybe towards the weekend, but again, everybody is different, and I would love to hear, how that resonates with you guys for that card. I gave you an example of mine, but yeah, guys, I like this week. I will definitely say it's definitely better than last week. Like I said, I think the only thing, we've got our issues, we've got our challenges as usual, but it's very interesting about the confronting somebody that's gossiping about us, that has betrayed us. I definitely feel like a lot of direct energy here. So I definitely feel like, if I didn't say that before and I was reading the card, but I definitely do feel like we're, not afraid to stand up for ourselves. And that could be part of the, empowered energy here as well, right? We feel more emboldened to confront somebody about something. So that's going to be interesting. So I would love to hear any stories about that. Like I said, if you're brave, put it down below. So guys, I like it. What a interesting, first week of December. And like I said, if you haven't already checked out the monthly, go ahead and do that. And I will see you guys in the next one. All right, bye guys.